So, welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcea, and today we're joined by Piyush Gupta, founder of CEO of Polytrade. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for inviting me here. I'm hoping it to be a great conversation. Let's go for it.
Perfect. So, before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what Polytrade does?
Sure. So, as you already introduced me, I'm founder and CEO of Polytrade. We started Polytrade around 5 years back with the aim to bring real world assets on chain. And today, in this journey, we are one of the leading players in RWA space. Polytrade is one of the largest aggregated marketplaces, housing more than 7,000 assets as we speak. And these assets are all originated from across 70 protocols, across 11 chains. So that makes us one of the largest marketplaces which are live today in the RWA space.
That's fascinating. And what inspired you to create Polytrade? Was there a specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
So yeah, it's a funny story. I was already running my business for last 7 years, I would say since 2014, in Web2, and I was primarily into trade finance. A single meeting with Sandeep Nailwal in 2020, I would say, completely changed my mindset, and we took a initiative to move the whole trade finance business onto on chain, and that was a remarkable moment in the way I was my thought process, my thinking. And then since I'm coming from a completely business background, and it was I was not a tech founder, the journey from scratch, hiring people who understand blockchain, hiring product managers, and the complete tech team
Yeah.
built from there. So yeah, it was a proper decisive moment, and once we step into Web3, we never look back.
Perfect. So, what was your background before starting this venture?
So I did my grad from IIT Bombay, which is one of the most premier institutes from India. Since my college, I was always in finance. I worked with French bank, Soggen. Then I worked in private equity. Then I worked in business development on international structuring, and then finally I put my hands on trade finance. So since 2014, I have been active in trade finance, managing almost a book of $500 million, and we had offices across Asia and Middle East. So yeah, coming from a pedigree of understanding how finance works, helping small and medium enterprises in their working capital requirements. So that part of the business was very solid and built, and the challenge was to adapt to the tech side of the Web3 side of things. How do we bridge this gap between the traditional liquidity requirements and the sources of liquidity which were completely new to this world, which is DeFi,
Yeah.
right? How do we bring this liquidity to the traditional world, and how do we bridge this real world gap between Web3 and Web2? So yeah, that's where perfect amalgamation happened.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So let's go back to when you first started. What major challenges or gaps did you see in the market that made you think this needs to be solved?
Yeah, sure, Alex. So, today after spending 5 years, I would say that blockchain is something which is probably not an option anymore. It's a requirement. It is almost every large institution, almost every large corporate is already imbibing it in their business in one way or the other. And I don't think there is any sector which is untouched by it. Be it healthcare, be it financial services, be it shipping, whatever you think of it, right? When 2020, when I was first even thinking about moving into blockchain, still the adoption was very low that time, right? And I remember my initial discussions with Sandeep from Polygon were very clear that financial industry or the financial verticals are always the backbone of every country and every system, right? And whenever
Yeah.
a new technology is being adopted, it first impacts the financial industry. And if financial industry adopts it, then the expansion and the adoption becomes much faster in other industries. So since I was in trade finance background, I could only at that point think of the challenges which are there in trade finance business, and how blockchain can actually overcome those, right? The fraud,
Right.
the scams, the multiple invoices, the fraud financing, the money laundering, all those issues which were there in the trade finance space. I could think of solving them using blockchain. So in the beginning, the challenge was that how do we bring this transparency? How do we make everything seamless so that the SMEs get their financing on time, and nobody can steal the business, nobody can steal the money from between, and then it all sounds very rosy, if you think of it, the perfect world. So yeah,
Right.
initial
Right.
challenges were purely to really fill these gaps between how to take care of these scams and frauds.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, could you elaborate on why the existing solutions were meeting these needs?
I would not lie to you. These 4 years, and countless interactions with corporates in the real world, banks. We are partnered with Mastercard. The existing solutions involved a lot of middlemen, as you know, and typically Web2 services, right? When I'll take a small example which probably resonates with all of your audience, is that today one buyer and one seller exist in the world. I'm selling goods to somebody, and then he's a large buyer, he sends me money in 90 days. So in this process, there are so many intermediaries like a bank, insurance company, logistics company, and all these players who not only eat away my margins but also takes hell lot of time in the whole settlement process, right? And then comes the scams and frauds, fake bill of lading, fake invoice, duplicate invoices, multiple financing. When you think of blockchain as a solution, one of the immediate things which you can think of is instant settlements over digital currencies, right?
Right, right.
The second thing you can think of is delivery versus payment. So there's no, the trustless system says that if I am buying something on chain, instant payment is being received by the other party, right? You don't have to wait for somebody that, oh, once I receive the goods, then I'll make the payment. No, it doesn't work on blockchain. You're buying BTC, you make the payment, the BTC comes into your wallet. So these are few things which I thought that would make a drastic change in the way traditional businesses would, it would impact. So, people will stop losing their margins, people will stop losing money, people will stop losing time, and, the scams and the frauds will go away. So that was some basic thoughts which I had, and, we tried to solve with blockchain.
Yeah, so I have a curiosity. What are the main concerns you hear from equity investors when it comes to blockchain integration in traditional banking?
Equity investors, their thought process is very different still, right? They do not understand token economics, they do not understand how tokens work, they still believe in the model of equity. And it's funny because when we compare the investors in web 2 and web 3 world, web 3 investors always want their tokens because they can hold it, they can sell it, they have an exit very fast. While in equity, investors always wants to hold back the equity. They get their exit in 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and maybe sometimes never, right? So that was a very basic understanding gap between how equity investors understand Web3. Then when you come to traditional banks, they always think blockchain as a threat to their business, right? Because they, this is their money making business, right? The more they charge on every transaction, I have a basic disconnect here that Alex, if I have to send you money person to person, why should a bank or an intermediary charge on that, right? If a bank
Right.
is financing, yes, they can charge. If a bank is doing some process or adding some value, yes, they can charge. But if I need to send money to my father or brother or sister or wife, why should I pay bank charges on that? And that is where exactly blockchain kind of brings this whole cutting out the intermediaries from the equation. So
Right,
thought processes are very different.
right, right, right. So, what was the breaking point that made you decide to tackle this problem?
Talking to corporates, talking to people who are on the receiving side, talking to farmers, because one of our major client base was small and medium enterprises, and that includes a lot of farmers also. And it is heart wrenching when you see that, if they were supposed to make $100, ideally they almost end up getting 70 or 60, right? And that farmer, that poor guy, is the one who is doing the most hard work in the whole equation, right? Everybody after that is just adding in value on top of it. But every large corporate, every distributor make much more money and margin than that poor farmer. So when you talk to them and when you get these pain points in the field, then you realize that there was a big need of these changes. Yeah, but yeah, I'm more than happy to probably move on from trade finance to the marketplace model, which we adopted in January 23, 24 last year, when we realized that tokenized space was growing very fast. And discovery was a big problem, Alex. Today, if I tell you that go and buy tokenized treasury bills, you would probably think of couple of protocols on your hand, like, oh, Ondo is doing that, oh, maybe Maple is doing that. But you would be surprised to know that there are 15 protocols globally who are tokenizing treasury bills. There was no place where you can find them or discover them. So how do we create an aggregated marketplace where even if you're not buying from Polytrade, as a user, you get first-hand information that what protocols are there who are doing real estate or who are doing treasury bills or who are doing carbon credits or who are tokenizing watches or collectibles or Pokemon cards. There was no one place where all this discovery can happen. So that was our first initial thought that trade finance was doing great. Let's make our business a bit more holistic and become a leader in the RWA space. And today we are very happy because we are one of those protocols who has partnered with literally everyone in the space. Everybody loves to work with us. We are not competing with anybody, and as a marketplace model, it's always win-win game for us. So yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. So, walk us through how Polytrade addresses these challenges. What makes your approach unique?
I think all of us in Web3 face one common challenge, which is demand. You can call it in form of adoption, you can call it in form of both retail and institutional adoption. Supply is there. So last full year, Polytrade only focused on creating supply. That if I want to open an Amazon of Web3, first thing I need is the supply of goods. So tomorrow when you visit Amazon, you should find what you're looking for. But then over a period of last 1 year, we have also realized that there is no organic demand. Nobody wants to buy tokenized goods, or maybe it's a wrong assumption. Nobody really knows that they can buy tokenized goods. Our thought process and our audience are very limited to Web3. We always try to market within Web3 circles, using Telegram and Twitter and all that. There is a big world outside in Web2 who can benefit from these tokenized products. And as a distribution business, this year we are purely focusing on how to create this distribution, how to create channels in Web2 where we can go and distribute the products to a common man. So our aim this year is to increase retail demand and go to the areas like Africa, Latin America, Turkey, Middle East, where there is a dearth of these dollar denominated demands, like dollar denominated products, tokenized gold. We understand that these are the markets which would really absorb these for us very easily.
So, when you talk to potential clients, what's the biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
Biggest misconception what most of the people have about Web3 itself is that
Yeah.
blockchain and crypto is scam. Because of the volatility they see in crypto, they kind of misconstrued, or they bring blockchain, Web3 and crypto as one thing. So which is our biggest education curve, which we go to our audience and say that forget about crypto. Crypto is just a byproduct of blockchain and a Web3. Right? End of the day, you have to understand that what benefits blockchain brings to you, how you can buy a fraction of a $1 million property in Dubai without really getting your hands on it. Right? You can just put $1,000 and still you can enjoy the benefits of whatever the yields are coming or whatever the property boom is coming. If you want to park your money into fixed income or treasury bill, you don't need to sit in a country where you are accredited investor and you have to go through the whole KYC of a broker and all that. You can do this very quickly by buying a tokenized treasury bill. Blockchain, crypto, please keep them aside. That is our first thing motto when we talk to our audience.
Yeah, perfect set, perfect set. So, could you share a specific success story of a client who saw significant results using your solution?
In trade finance, I can go on and on. We have done more than $20 million of financing for our clients using DeFi liquidity. These clients were kind of not getting funding from banks or traditional fund finance. We enable these finances for them. So there will be a lot of examples in the corporate world which have benefited from this. However, when it comes to marketplace, I think I would give you a perspective from more on the protocol side, who are our partners. There are, if I say there are 100 plus protocols who are tokenizing different assets, not everybody is having a distribution. You might be good at tokenizing something, but you may not be good at distributing it. And that is the reason you always need a marketplace or a distribution business where you can easily go and distribute your product. So we have helped couple of large artists from US where we tokenized their paintings and we sold them on our marketplace and they got sold. These artists were so happy that my audience who are not just now in US, they are global, right? I can sell my paintings to somebody sitting in UAE also. So that is something which kind of gives you happiness that your product is finally helping a person or an artist or something.
Yeah, so I get to this point. And looking at the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge?
I would say institutional adoption is happening, and especially I'm talking about RWA space where we existing today. Last 2 3 years, we have seen a wave of treasury bills and private credit being tokenized, and that is being the main industry leader. But now, as Trump administration came, and the more and more focus about blockchain adoption and crypto adoption is happening, we are seeing that a lot of financial institutions are coming ahead and tokenizing stocks, bonds, which is very retail focused product. So Robinhood announced few days back that they will be tokenizing, they will be adopting RWAs and tokenization. Well, that literally means that you can think of 24/7 trading of stock markets in the tokenized form, right? That is the big difference which is coming in the industry. When you look at BlackRock and when you look at large organizations, they are tokenizing their units, fund units. So earlier, me and you, as in our personal capacity, probably would never be able to participate in a BlackRock fund. Today, you can simply buy $100 worth of tokenized BlackRock or Fidelity or some large fund and take benefit of the returns which they offer.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And how are these trends affecting how businesses operate in your space?
It's still gonna take time. We are too early in this game. It all starts from large organizations. We are talking to a couple of large government organizations where they want to tokenize a particular vertical in their country. We are talking to large corporations who wants to tokenize their complete value chain. But all these players are really big. We are not seeing this demand yet coming from small industries or small players. I think that's how I perceive that a change always occurs from the top. When a regulator comes and says that from today onwards all banks can tokenize their deposits, I mean that's where you will suddenly see a couple of banks coming and start doing it, right? So that kind of shift is happening. UAE, Dubai is one of the most, I would say, open-minded regulator who has moved into the blockchain space much earlier than everybody else. So we are seeing a lot of changes here in UAE market, and I hope that that escalates to other markets as well.
And what do you think most business owners are getting wrong when they are trying to address their specific problem?
I would say business owners, and it's not their fault because they are so consumed by their business and the problems which they have, they do not think out of box. They do not see that what a good technology can bring changes to their business, right? And again, I'll take example of trade finance. When I am funding a small and medium enterprise, he really doesn't care the source of money. For him, the finance is the most important part. If I am trying to force him to digitize their business, bring their invoices on chain and all that, he doesn't care. For him, he wants money so that he can do more production, he can do more sale, and he can pay salaries and all that, right? So every business has, or as a business owner, they're focused on their business. And they never think out of the box that, this technology can help me actually grow much faster. So this is something which, eventually will change.
Okay. So I have a little curiosity here. If you could rebuild your tech stack from scratch today, what would you do differently?
Interesting. I think times have changed. 4 years back when we started, today if you tell me to rebuild Polytrade from scratch, we would probably focus on just one or two products and go really deep into them. However, we can't change the past. So today we are a marketplace which is focusing on 70 plus assets and all that. But I would go by the trend and probably just focus on treasury bills and private credit for last year. This year I would put my efforts into stocks and bonds. So I would go by the trend. Whatever market is catching up, I would just focus on that. And maybe as a marketplace, we will do that in future. That we will only focus on 3 months or 6 months of the time, when we only focus on one asset class and not go into the other thing. And just to add here,
Okay.
Alex, one more thing. I've been talking about the retail marketplace we have, but then there is a very significant portion of our business which comes from institutional side also. As I briefly mentioned, we are partnered with Mastercard. We have built an app for them, which is being presented to their clients and banks. We have did a small pilot with JP Morgan in past. Today we are working with Indonesian government. We are working with. We are just shortlisted into XTC accelerator program. So these are all our institutional side of the business where we provide our technology. We are the authors of ERC 6960, which is used for tokenization of real world assets. So that part is being offered to institutions in collaboration, and that has nothing to do with retail. And
Yeah, that's,
these things move slowly, but they create a much larger impact. So that's the other side of our business.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what advice would you give to business owners who want to stay ahead of these changes?
Take the opportunity when it comes. Don't wait for others to catch up, because you can be the leader in that space. If you adopt first, trust me, others will follow. So don't sit on it, don't wait for it, just go for it.
Yeah, basically action.
Action, that's correct.
Right. So as you wrap up, what's next for Polytrade? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
Yes, for sure. We have just launched our AI initiative. Also, Polytrade will become a pseudo investment manager in the market. Because if I want to sell real estate or tokenized treasury bill or tokenized stock, Alex, today you can come and ask my AI agent that, hey, can you tell me something good about Dubai market? Which are the best properties here, right? So this agent will help you not only identify good opportunities on a marketplace, but also make you aware what's happening in the industry. Which protocols are funded, which protocols are not funded, which protocol can you trust, which protocol can you not trust. And as I said, we are focusing purely on distribution going forward. So this year you will see a lot of Polytrade efforts moving into untapped markets, Africa, Latin America, where we will go and sell these tokenized dollar denominated products, gold, real estate, and all that. So yeah, and institution side, Alex, it's always an ongoing business. There will be some fireworks this year where we will make some big announcements about our partnerships with large organizations, but that's something which is slow cooked.
Great, great. And for listener who want to learn more or potentially work with Polytrade, what's the best way to get in touch?
Polytrade, you can follow us on Twitter, polytrade.finance. You can go to our website. You can go to our marketplace to explore some products and see what you like, what you don't like. You can always reach us out on our Telegram and Twitter handles. So we are most accessible people, and that's how Web3 works. So we are happy to listen to the comments and feedback from the community. And please go and try marketplace, because you will see some really exciting products there. We just launched options on Polytrade where you can buy these crypto with very small amount of premiums. So again, very exciting in these choppy markets. You don't need to put all your liquidity. Just spend small amount and buy a call or a put option for.
Okay, I see. So thanks for sharing those insights about you, about your company, about this whole story. And this is one amazing, amazing session, amazing podcast session.
I love it,
Thank you
Alex.
for being.
Yeah, thank you so much for nice questions, and I hope your audience get to learn something from this. And look forward to get speak to you again.
Yeah, perfect. So see you on next episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.